Hello. Hey, Maggie. How are you doing?
Hi,
Good to
Monica. So good to
see
see you. How
you.
are you
Good
doing?
to see. I'm good. And well, good night, everybody. Good night here from the US, and really good morning, very early from India, where Maggie is right now. So this is one more session of the Grandma's March event 2024, and this year the theme of the event it's time to revive our roots and ask ourselves, what did we do once we knew? So this is the theme for the year, and it's exciting for me to be here with you, Maggie. I think it's probably I met Maggie in 2018. We were we were together in the Shakti Leadership Program that Nilima Bhatt leads it, and together with the University of San Diego in California. So we met in person back then. That was October, I think, of 2018. And we were there for 10 days, I think. And that's when I met Maggie. We are sisters from that fellowship. Connected since then, but I think we have not seen each other since then. I went to India last year, but we were not able to meet in person. But at least I was able to see and be in your country, which is amazing, and I love it. And
Beautiful.
I definitely remember a lot of things about us together. And I'm gonna just introduce Maggie soon, but I was remembering one of the amazing things that happened together, that we went hiking together in a beautiful place in San Diego. I don't know if you remember the name of the place. I do you?
It was just this, no, I don't remember the trail name either, but it was just this national park right by the ocean.
Yes, about the ocean, right? And it was beautiful. And I know everybody divided themselves, and Maggie and me end up going into this path and just like exploring together. And it was just pure magic. And Maggie was just like the explorer. She really was like into her. You could tell this is something that you love, and I was just following you and exploring, and it was a whole adventure, and we had so much fun. And so when I was reading your bio, because I asked everybody like, okay, send me your short bio and a picture. So then I found like Maggie, she's so into that. She really loves like going into the mountains and leading people on treks around Bangalore. So my next time I have to go to
Yes.
Bangalore into one of these treks for
Mm.
sure. So before we continue, I want to just introduce Maggie, and thank you, Maggie, for being here. So Maggie, and her name is Mara Gatavali. I don't know, Maggie, if I say it right.
I did that right. Thank you.
Okay, is a social entrepreneur, community builder, and thought leader in the D&I with a background in technology. So we have things in common because I'm in D&I too. And she has been working in the social impact space, specifically with diversity and inclusion, since 2016. Maggie started her career in technology at Infosys and stayed with the firm for many years, working across the globe. She moved on to start a tech venture, building a cloud based HR product that powered many unicorns in their early stages. In 2017, she moved to the social impact space, working for AnitaB.org, and you can tell us a little bit more, a US based nonprofit working to improve gender equity in the technology industry. She curates and builds communities, holds dialogue spaces, and teaches D&I to management students and industry leaders. Maggie is equally interested in women's health and well being. A trained yoga teacher, she works with clients, guiding them on their well being journey. And she has co authored a book on menopause. And that's one of the topics that I really want to know more about it, and that you share with us, along with all your story that is amazing. And she calls the mountain her real home. And on weekends, she leads people on treks around Bangalore. So I love that. So that's Maggie, a little bit of you. Again, welcome, Maggie. As I told you, this is just an informal chat. And so you can share a little bit of your story, about your background, your land, your ancestors, and that connection to your grandmothers. If you could start with that. I remember back when I started my project, you shared some of that, some pictures with me. So I would love to, tell a little bit of that and how that impacted on the woman and the leader that you are today, on all that amazing work that you're doing, with diversity and inclusion, with gender equity, yeah, all the well-being and the menopause and the mountains, who know, and that trekking. And we go from there. Let's see.
Thank you so much, Monica. And yeah, thanks for the introduction as well. And yeah, like you said, I think it's good to start from my roots, and I see that you have lovely roots.
Mhm.
I just resonate so much with that. So yes, I'm joining today from India. So I'm from India, and uh, I know people listening to this know, but India is a very family-oriented community. There is a lot of respect for elders. Um, And in fact, the family I come from has this unique tradition. I don't know if it's unique, it's probably more common in the area where I come from, is the eldest daughter is named after the paternal grandmother, and the second daughter is named after the maternal grandmother. Same
Oh.
with the grandfather. So we honor the line by naming the kids after the grandparents. So my name, Maragatavalli, is actually my grandmother's name.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Or maybe you told me, but I don't remember that.
Right.
Wow.
Um,
So
so
that your grandmother from
my
mom
father,
or that father's?
my
Okay,
paternal
got it.
yeah.
Okay.
um and as I grow older, I so when I was younger, maybe the name didn't matter much, and people wouldn't call you by that name because since she's an elder, telling her name is not respectful. So all of us, so many of us have two names. So there is a name we are known by in the outer world, there is a name we are known by within the family, because nobody in the family will say the name. Nevertheless, as I grow older, I'm just um, kind of growing more closer to the name and trying. It is, I feel it's bringing in a lot of my ancestry and a closeness to that just through this name. So it may seem like a simple tradition, but I think it just changes, or rather it influences someone at a very very deep soul level. That said, yes, Indian families, lot of Indian families live in joint families, so people typically spend a lot of time with their grandparents. Not in my case. The side of India I come from, we don't necessarily do that. We don't live in huge joint families,
Mm-hmm.
but we do spend a lot of time with the grandparents. And growing up, most of my the festivals, the celebrations, the families coming together, all the summer vacations, they were all only with my grandparents. Now, how have my grandmothers influenced me? I really have to, both my grandmothers have influenced me in quite many different ways. My maternal grandmother, her name is Lakshmi, and she never had formal schooling. Okay. But she was this person who read voraciously, and her attic was full of books. And she would, and at those times we would have magazines in which people would write these huge novels in like series, and she would collect them, cut out those pages, bind them. So we would have books, we would have magazines. She was a great cook. She could do embroidery and crochet and all of that really well. She was just a very very talented someone with absolutely no formal schooling, but she had so much talent. I don't think any of us have got it in entirety, in the
I'm sure.
generations. But spending the summer vacations with her really fueled my love for reading, and it opened up a whole world for me. So
Wow.
my summer vacations were mostly trying to hide away from her because because if she sees me, she's going to make me do something, a chore. Go do this chore, go do that chore. So we would go to her house, have the nice food, and go hide in the attic and just keep reading the whole day.
I
That's
love
how
it.
it was.
Oh.
Just so much love. Same with the paternal grandmother. I had her with me only for 10 years. When I was 10, she passed away, unfortunately. So I didn't get to know her as much as I did my other grandmother. But she was a very strong lady. She gave birth to 14 children, 11 of
Oh,
them
wow.
grew to be adults. And she took care of all of their weddings, the grandchildren. She took care of her mother, her grandmother. And she just ran this huge household.
Wow.
And she was just known to be this matriarch, people would respect. And she just had this amazing presence. Till date, my father, when he speaks about her, there is so much reverence, so much love, so much respect.
Hmm.
And with her, my thing was coffee. So as kids, we were not allowed to drink coffee. But when I met her, she would always give me coffee.
I love it.
She's like, that
Coffee.
milk and sugar. And she'd be like,
How
come.
come? I wouldn't think that we would say like, oh, I don't know, tea, chai, but coffee, really? It's like coffee. We drink coffee in Colombia. Like,
She had this big flask full of coffee next to her always. And,
I
nobody could
love it.
just have it. So
Okay.
from her, I think I really, I think I'm lucky to have inherited that that ability to take on an enterprise kind of a thing. We don't think of women in terms of running an enterprise, but women do
No.
run big enterprises at home, trying to manage all of these different things,
Uh-huh.
different people's needs, and people in different stages in terms of health, in terms of growth, and women typically become the core who manage all of that and keep the household running. Um, so and in India it's again it's just not just your immediate family. There are people who come and go. So again, my paternal grandmother lived in a village in this huge house. So they would have household help coming in and going. They would have farm hands coming in and going. So it was really an enterprise in that manner.
Yeah.
um, Again, we come from a very community based tradition. We don't have that so much in the modern life anymore, but earlier there would be one community that does all the laundry for you. There's another community that will take care of the cattle. So every community had their own kind of profession and they would do it. So you cannot do anything unless you involve everybody and get that done. So it was a very complex system, and both my grandmothers managed that really well, and that was something we grew up seeing and learning.
Wow.
So
I love that. Do you remember any, I don't know, you have any memories specifically like one mother or something you told about the coffee? Is there any other foods or things that you remember or things that you used to do at their homes or yeah, anything else?
my maternal grandmother, as I said, was a great cook, fantastic cook, and
Uh-huh.
great cook. Sorry, she would cook meat, non-veg, like we call it in India. And again, in those days, it's not like you went to a supermarket and picked up packet of frozen chicken, right? So you would have chickens at home. You would have
Oh,
this.
I love that. Yes. Well,
And people,
Colombia was like that too. Not anymore, but my grandma used to
absolutely
have chickens at home. Yeah.
right. Other than people would walk by, they would have wild game. So we would have
Uh-huh.
rabbits and all kinds of birds. So I'm not a meat eater anymore. I'm a vegetarian, but growing up, and she would make all of this. The interesting thing is, she never cooked by herself. She will always have somebody cook. She
Got
had
it.
employed cooks, and
Right.
she would train every cook to cook the same way. The taste will not change. The person might change, the taste will not change. So I don't know how she managed
That's an
that.
enterprise. There you go. That's
Exactly. We cannot do that in our corporate lives, right? If somebody leaves your team, brings, and then they bring their own flavor, we cannot get the same work done. But for her, it did not matter who was in the kitchen, the food came out the same exact way.
I
So,
love that. It is, and it is true. I love. You should even write a book about that. Like, okay, enterprise like a grandmother.
right.
Yeah, it's like running a whole business because it is true. Look at that. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Yeah, it is so interesting. Mm,
Yeah. So,
wow.
so most of memories about her are about food and amazing food we would eat. And she loved to feed us. There are a couple of other interesting small things. I was also very close to her.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, we would sit after the television came into our homes. We would sit and watch all kinds of movies together, um, read the old literary works in India, the Puranas about Rama, and then we would she would have these all of these festivals which would go for a week, 9 days, and which are open to public. People would drop and participate. We would do all this very pious things, sit and read a holy book, read the scripture, and all of that. But after everyone left, we would be sitting and making jokes about, oh my God, what happened in the story today? Did Rama faint when he was walking and he missed Sita? How could he fail? Like all these kind of, we would just make
Uh-huh.
fun of everything that happened. We would assign each one of his characters. So that was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun after all the
Wow.
seriousness was over. So much so that when she died, I remember she kind of left us very quickly. It was a heart attack. We thought
Oh,
she was going to come back in 2 days, but she never made it back home. But after we did all what had to be done, we sent her off. That night, I remember we were sitting and just laughing at her memory, like laughing with all the memories.
ah,
Oh God, she used to do this. Oh God, she used to do this. We had so much fun, and that for me is a testimony of a life well lived when people can enjoy the person
it's
rather than
true.
besides the grief. If I can enjoy the person, that's a life well lived.
It is true. Oh, I love that. Is there a way, a particular way that you call like grandma in India, or you each have like a special name?
Yes.
How is it? Just curious about that.
So the mother's mother is called Aya,
Ah, yeah.
Aya,
Okay. Uh-huh.
and the father's mother is called Apata.
Ah, okay, okay. So that's for everybody, like anybody that has mother, the mother's mother,
No, it
Aya, but
has
I think
changes.
your, yeah,
Yes.
it depends on the, okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Got it, got it,
So
got it.
that is
Yeah.
Party is a more common name, and
Uh-huh.
again, it's we have multiple languages. The words
Of
end
course,
six.
yeah, you're
They're
right.
all mother
Multiple
tongue.
languages, and yeah, it depends. But
Yeah.
basically, like where in your region, probably it's like it's more common, Aya and Apata.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Beautiful. So Maggie, and then growing, like moving forward and growing in life, so you end up working, in the IT world, diversity and inclusion. How did it all happen? And tell us a little bit of all that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I just said probably my initial years were very usual. Like in India, there's so much emphasis on education, so much emphasis that everybody should get a college degree. And if you are good in academics, typically you would pick up something like an engineering or a medical or one of those kind of fields. So it is very well structured, and that's what I did the initial years. And that was a period of technology boom. So technology was picking up fast. So I got
Mm-hmm.
a job in one of the technology companies, and that's what my career was for the next 15 or so years. Um, while I love working with computers, that kind of a corporate setup where you're working on projects, working on clients, and trying to deliver technology projects, um, and it didn't. I was not completely happy with just doing that, managing people and delivering projects on a deadline. My focus was more on people, so I went ahead and I got myself a postgraduate in human resource management and organizational psychology from University of London.
Got it.
And synchronistically, a lot of my work was also happening in HR tech, not in other tech. So I would build applications to manage people from recruitment to whatnot.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
And then that's what I started my venture in as well. It was a cloud based HR product at that point. But in 2010, I also did a small experiment. I said, I'm going to quit this corporate job and just get off this ladder, corporate ladder, and see what it is like. So for 6 months, I tried my hand in all kinds of things from journalism to I learned to be a Reiki healer at that point. I
Oh
did
wow.
ghostwriting for an author. It was just trying out things to see.
Exploring, like always exploring all kinds of things.
Maybe a lot of people do it right after college. They take a year,
Right.
but I did it in my 30s at that point, 2010. So, anyways, nevertheless, in 2016, it really was very not a planned move, but a friend of mine, an ex boss of mine, she was running anitabi.org in India. Um, and she talked to me about it. I liked what they were doing. I
Yeah.
started supporting her. Then I went into that full time. And that's where I discovered that calling. And they talk about this law of attraction. In law of attraction, they say if you just go behind the feeling and the energy of fun, everything else that is aligned will come to you. So when I discovered my calling in working with people, especially with tackling inequity in the society, is where I really found my calling. And the other kind of callings also opened up. Around 2017, right before I met you, I did my first trek in the Himalayas, and I realized, okay, I fell in love with mountains, head over heels. That's the time that happened.
That's clear.
um, and and yeah, I started writing more regularly. I started keeping a blog where I started publishing a little bit more discipline I brought into writing. So all these parts of my life that really make me alive started opening up, and I started working on all of that from 2017. Um, yeah, and then 2020 I left anitabi.org,
Oh, okay.
due to some other personal reasons, and since then I've been working more on my own.
Uh-huh.
I worked with the executive networks supporting their DNI communities and well-being communities. Now, when all this is going on, there was also a personal thing going on with my health. So I'm coming to the menopause part of it. I was definitely in perimenopause. I was in my late 30s and early 40s, and I had a fibroid at that point.
Got it.
So this fibroid was beginning to give me trouble, and I started really researching into menstrual health and what happens with women, especially in that age. So I did a lot of research, a lot of reading. I changed my diet completely. I changed my cosmetics completely.
Hmm.
I let go of most of the chemical, the typical processed cosmetics. I switched to as natural as possible. So like an uh, cold pressed coconut oil is my go-to for everything these days.
Oh,
So
really? Well, I want to know more about
coconut
that.
oil, turmeric. These became the ingredients I use in my cosmetics than the bottles we buy in the store. So between food and I also discovered yoga in a big time. I had always been a yoga practitioner, but I started working with someone specifically to work on this, and a little bit more formal structure I brought to my yoga practice. Until then, I was like I would go watch a video and try out something, and just it was just happening on its own. But 2017 is when I started having a very serious yoga practice and going deeper into that as well.
Hmm.
Um, and that is when I started learning a lot about what happens um, with the menstrual health of women, what all affects it, um, and a lot of my questions about menstrual health were answered by Ayurveda, because in allopathy, when I went to doctors, they would either give me medication to control the excess bleeding, and the only solution they had was a hysterectomy to remove the uterus, which I did
Yes.
not want to do. But if I had to tackle it in any other way, the answers, at least the answers, lay in Ayurveda, which talked about how the body moves from different phases through life, the different kind of doshas. Ayurveda has this kapha, pitta, and vata, and different doshas are dominant in different parts of one's life, and
Got it.
how that can influence your cycle, and how to even read your cycle to get clues about how your health is. So women have this huge advantage when it comes to periods, because every month our body gets a chance to cleanse and start over, and that is something we should ideally tap into, that wisdom, and see what it tells us for us to lead
Hmm.
healthier and happier lives. Although in today's world we want to forget about it and keep running, because our schedule wants us to be active on every single day, so we don't
Right. Never
actually.
stop. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And I read a very significant book by name Ritu Vidya that helped me understand a lot of these things. Around the same time is when a few women came together and said, okay, menopause is hardly being talked about. We need to talk about it. Can all of
It's
us write
true.
our experiences? So I jumped at the chance, because this is something that is close to my heart. I was already talking to a lot of women and really getting them to focus on their well-being, because with women, first of all, giving time for self-care and getting a focus on well-being itself is a challenge. And after they get into it, there is so less research that they don't have answers as to why something happens to women. Why do we have PCOS? Why do we have whatever? Like all these issues, people have absolutely no clue on. In fact, another interesting thing is between 35 and 45, it's very common for women to be anemic, because your menstrual cycle impacts your iron absorption.
Yes. Yes.
And that is something people don't make the connections on, right? So I was already talking informally to a lot of people. And so using all of that, I wrote a chapter more around perimenopause than menopause, saying how you can start working with your periods from the time you turn 35 so that you have a better menopause. Because menopause can hit you like a big wave because it just completely changes who you are. It changes you physically, it changes you mentally, it changes you. I feel it changes you at the soul level. Uh, so, but there is so much we can do much before that, and not just as menopause as a goal kind of a thing, but overall for our day-to-day well-being.
Yeah.
We have this huge power. Periods is actually power. We have this huge power, and how do we use that? This is what that chapter is about, what I came to write about.
Wow.
So that's been my journey. So right now I'm working again freelance on women's well-being, DNI, and trekking is something more like a weekend work that I do, taking people around. I also teach yoga, but I'm connecting that into women's well-being now. So
Hmm. So, what is the name of this book that you co-write it with? Yeah.
uh, it's the potential power of menopause is what the
Hmm.
book is. And unfortunately, it's not available so much in the Indian market. It's in the US and UK market. You can buy it on.
Oh, really? Yeah. So, what's the name? Can you?
Can I put on the chat?
Yeah, just put it on the chat. We will put it in here because that will be very. I will love to read it, and so everybody also can access that. The potential power of menopause. Awesome. Yeah. So we'll put it here. Oh, amazing. So it is. It was written by you and who else? Potential power of menopause. There you go.
10 of us wrote it together.
Yeah. Wow. Well, all of you women, I imagine,
No,
right?
there was one man.
Really?
Yes, and he wrote from his experience of supporting his wife through it.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, yes, that way it was really nice.
Oh, wow. That sounds so interesting. Oh, wow. Amazing. Yeah, we definitely need men supporting that because like you
Absolutely.
said, it is a topic that is not really, it's like people they don't know is there is no information. The few information that there is very allopathic, and when you go to a doctor, everything they want to send you is just like any hormone replacement or anything like that, and that's all. And it's like, okay, you gotta live with this. You just gotta get some hormone replacement or and that's all you. That's all. And when you go and ask, I'm sure because I don't have, for example, I'm sure I'm in a phase that I'm going to perimenopause, and I don't have my grandmothers to ask. But when I ask my mom, she doesn't know a lot about it. All that she had to do about it is would just go to a gynecologist and get and just get a hormone replacement, which
Mm-hmm,
I believe is not. I don't know. I believe there must be a natural way to do something different and to prepare yourself and your body into that. And so many women, and earlier today, and actually I'm participating in it's called feminine, uh it's like a feminine program that is more like teaching you like how to go through the cycles, and one of the teachers is a natural gynecologist,
mm-hmm.
and she was saying that, and this is people from Brazil, because I'm still very connected to Brazil, so I do it virtually, and she was saying that so many young women that are not even 30 years old are already with menopause.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and she's never seen that, and it's like it's something that is going on, and is actually is a lifestyle, and she said it's the lifestyle, is the things that we eat, is the cosmetics that we use, like what you were saying, is all
Right.
that. So it's causing a lot of fibroids, it's causing like how do you say, like early menopause, because it's imagine like 28, 29-year-old girls that are going there, it's like something's going on with me, and it's actually that's what's going when they do like any lab test or things like that. So that's sad because it's like, I don't know, our lifestyles are not cyclical. They are not in the rhythm that we should be living. And of course, our bodies are like
Yeah,
responding to that.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So,
I love how you use the word rhythm. I just wrote about it last week on LinkedIn saying, time is a very stressful, linear thing, but rhythm is so beautiful. And
yeah.
we should embrace the rhythm of the seasons, our bodies, especially women, because we bloat, we then come back, and it's just like so many things are very cyclical with women.
Right. And we don't expect that. Like you were saying, we are used to go, 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 don't stop. We have to be productive. We have to work. We have to do this and that and thousand things.
Right.
Yeah. So how is this love for the mountains? How are you now like trekking and taking people to, what are you doing with that? Is that more a hobby or what are the, I'm just curious.
It definitely started as a hobby, started as something I
Uh-huh.
simply loved doing because I found that I was very natural when I was on the mountains, and it just felt like something I've always done, though I started pretty late. I was already 40 when I started climbing. Um, but the more I do it, the more I realize, especially when I work with people, we have to heal our relationship with nature. Um, and because today trekking has become a very interesting pastime, very popular pastime in India. So people can afford, they go to the mountains, then they leave plastic behind, they go there, play loud music, uh, they leave the lights on. I mean, can we this is some of the spots where we are outside of all these modern things. Can we be one? Can we just become that earliest Homo sapien who had nothing and had to live by the mercy of nature? This is probably something we need to get back to from time to time. So now I'm working on a lot of first timers who kind of never step out into nature. How do we get them, and how do we get them to not be how to get them acquainted to nature? Because we don't know, we don't walk bare feet anymore. We cannot sleep on rocks, right? We need our beds. um, we even forgotten how to go to toilet in a natural place. We need flush and all of that stuff. You can't do any of that in the
It's
mountains.
true.
um, but when we do that, then all talk about environmentalism, when we cannot go live in nature, talking about environment and climate change makes no sense to me. So unless we know what we are, where we are, and what the environment we are living in, what kind of connection we have. So the rhythm is one part. The other very intrinsical part of human life is the relationship. I don't think any of us are independent. All of us are connected, like these
Mm.
roots, right? They say the trees' roots go and they talk to other trees and other plants in the forest. So it's
Yeah.
not only that tree. Similarly, we are very connected, not just to each other as human beings. We are connected with the air we breathe, the sunlight. We're connected to every single thing in this world. And if we can restore that connection, so more of my work with other people in taking them out to nature is becoming about restoring that connection. And even that, if anyone is listening to this, if you have something that is working for you, I would love to hear. Please connect with me, because I think all of us, if we put our ideas together, we can come up with some ways to open that part up to people. Because I see that people come into nature afraid. Oh my God, I'm afraid of bugs. I'm afraid of getting hurt. I don't want to sleep here. This is so inconvenient. This is something I keep hearing, and I'm like, we need to shed those guards and get acquainted with it.
It is true. And we need to share your contact information so people that really want to reach out, either to go to the mountains, to know more about menopause, you're also into yoga, into DNI, so many things, gender equity. So definitely you should contact with Maggie because yeah, I'm gonna be the next one whenever I go to India. I'm gonna be there. I want to learn all those things and going into trekking. And definitely, yeah, we all need to go more into nature and connect ourselves into nature. That's definitely one thing that we just lost that connection. And that's one of the things of this how this theme of all this work I've been doing with the grandmothers is taking me into that, because it's like suddenly when I was like digging deeper into this, realizing that that connection to that to the roots and to the grandmothers, it just takes you back there, you know? Yeah, yeah. So it's all so beautiful. I love it how um, you come from, like, from this family and this tradition of, like, very connected to your family, to your grandmothers, how your name is after your father's mom and your grandma, and how that influenced it in your life, and how you remember about the stories of being at your grandma's house and reading the books or having the coffee that you shouldn't be having as a kid, but she will give it to you, which I love it. And just growing up and going into the corporate world, like many of us do, and finding your purpose, your now understanding that it's people that connect you to what really matters to you, and going into DNI, yoga, writing the menopause book, and the mountains and connection to nature. So Maggie, thank you so much. It's such a journey and such a beauty how you are. You're such a gift, because it's like, look at you, how even before I met you, you were already so connected to this. And I remember you were doing like your yoga classes for all of us. We were waking up early together. We were just starting to connect with yoga and all these things. And Maggie was already like, you were into that already, and you were like doing all your self discovery before that. You were just digging deeper. So we have all learned so much from you, and now bringing the menopause and everything. And I'm so happy that we're here in this space just sharing and get to know you better and more of your story, and that I'm able to share it with others so others can read your book, reach out to you, and who knows, go trekking with you in the mountains of Bangalore.
Wonderful. Yes. You're so kind, Malika. Thank you for all those lovely
Oh,
words.
I love it. So yeah, thank you for this space. And the last question I want to ask you is that we've been asking in these spaces is uh, connected to the theme of the year is, what did you do? What do you want to do once you knew? And it is connected to what is like the legacy you want to leave into the world, even if it is something very small. It's almost like taking a pledge that, knowing that this world needs so much of that connection. What do you feel like, okay, what is the thing that I want to do?
I'm again going to go back into the social inequity, which is very high in India, at least. So yeah, that's what my work is about. I'm doing as something as small as I have a household help who comes from a poor socioeconomic background,
Yeah.
um, and just it's not about how much money you have, it's about the kind of attitude and confidence you have. And that's what I'm trying to build with her children. They come and study in my house. I've told them to use my space because there is internet, there is power, there is more space. So my house is open to them anytime to just come here and sit down and do their studies. So anything like that, where just creating resources, just being that responsible adult somebody can look up to, and hold hands. It's everyone is fine. Nobody needs help, but sometimes someone needs someone who is not biased and not having an agenda and just being that adult. So if I could be that, I think that is what I would like to do, knowing what I know now. But thank you for that question. I know
Oh,
our friend Rebecca, who introduced this question to me,
yes, yes.
in me. So thank you for asking that. And Monica, this work you're doing, I know that you talked to grandmas even when we were finishing up the Sakshi leadership course, and this is just so important in a time where we are building old age homes, because that is a connection we are beginning to lose out on. It's important for us to restore that connection.
Yeah.
Human beings are the only species where we have this kind of interconnectedness between generations, and where we respect our elders. And that's probably why we are the superior species today, because we have that connection. By not focusing on that, I think we'll be losing out a lot. Our grandparents have a lot to offer. And as I grow older, that is one more thing that I'm beginning to. Like, I'm going to be a grandma soon, probably another 10 years or whatever. So that then I'm realizing a lot more as to what all your work means. So thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Maggie. Oh, so much love to you. Love you. I
Same.
miss you. I really hope we can see each other soon, either
Yeah.
in India, here at my home, here in the US, whenever you want.
Yes.
And oh, thank you for just receiving the call and being here with me today, just sharing again together. I miss, and next time we'll be in the mountains of Bangalore for sure. Yes.
Lovely. Thank you so much
Trekking
for coming.
again together. Oh, take care. Sending you much, much love and thank you. And continue holding hands because you are
Yes.
amazing doing that. I
You
know.
too.
And not just being an adult, you're being the great, amazing, special woman and human being that you are. So thank you so much. Have a good night, Maggie. Take care,
Yeah.
everybody.
Have a
Continue
good night,
and
Michael. Bye bye
okay.
bye,
Thank
everyone.
you
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye.